Welcome to the Ed Leaders Edge podcast, where we interview innovators and thought leaders in the field of education who are helping students thrive. I'm your host, Ed Madison. I'm a professor and researcher at the University of Oregon, an educational consultant, and serve as executive director of the Journalistic Learning Initiative, a nonprofit organization that empowers elementary, middle, and high school students to discover their voice, improve academic outcomes, and become self-directed learners through project-based storytelling. Welcome to our program. Well, welcome back to the podcast. Michael Matsuda is superintendent of the Anaheim Union High School District and a pioneering force in 21st century education. Since becoming superintendent in 2014, Michael has revolutionized educational opportunities through innovative career pathways, mentorship programs, and most recently, leading conversations around AI in education. His vision has earned him numerous accolades, including being named one of Education Week's leaders to learn from. What's particularly impressive is how he's managed to blend innovation and compassion, creating programs like the AIME that have connected over 10,000 students with mentors and developed hundreds of paid summer internships. Mike, it's a real pleasure to have you. Thank you.
Well, it's great to be here, Ed.
Yeah. There's so much talk about AI, and I know that you recently were involved in organizing a summit on that topic, and it drew leaders from like 30 states. Can you tell me just kind of what is the current sentiment? I think we've gone from maybe a year ago to absolute fear to realizing that AI is not going away.
Well, I think that's it exactly, Ed, is that school leaders are realizing that, and they're also realizing that AI is a needed skill, at least generative AI and exposure to these amazing tools early on in the school system if we're going to maintain competitiveness worldwide with our students who are going to be leaders and workforce leaders after college. So I think it's more and more imperative. The question is, how do we do that, right? What do we bring into the schools? Is there a systemness to it? And that's the problem right now. And I think it's all over the place. And there's not to mention the anticipated gap between have and have nots. It's going to get worse in terms of access to AI tools as well.
Mm-hmm. So how are you implementing it in your district? Is it like work groups? Because oftentimes it's the teachers who are more intimidated than their students about jumping into this.
That's exactly right. And it's the teachers that are key to this. So what I recommend when I talk to other districts is to start with the board resolution that gives you cover to move and create a task force, right? So you'd start with the board resolution around AI for hopefully for whole child and for career preparedness. And the task force then would be comprised of maybe admins, but definitely teacher leaders. And the task force would be expected to determine a strategy for the district moving forward in terms of professional development. There's many nonprofits that have amazing tools and training, and I think that would be step one. And then eventually to create a board policy regarding the use of AI. But I think it's also important that the resolution identifies the opportunities and challenges, right? And hopefully weigh on the side of opportunities with AI. The challenges obviously are protection of student privacy, but I think the deeper challenge facing K-12 education is the lack of critical thinking and ethical training regarding AI. There's so many deep fakes and crazy things out there that are dividing our communities, it's dividing our kids, dividing us from one another. And I think that amplifies fear and leading to hatred and scapegoating and all these other things that our society is dealing with right now.
Mm-hmm. Now, if I'm accurate, I think your district leads California with, is it 17 democracy, quote unquote, democracy schools? Tell me what your thoughts, because I know student voice is a very important element of just the philosophy of what you're doing in your school district. So the connection between civic engagement, student voice, and preparing young people for the workforce.
Yeah, I like the way that you framed it because that's how we lead with career preparation, right? I think it's all about jobs, and Americans, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, they care about preparing their children for the workforce. Um, the key is career preparation grounded in student voice and agency, student purpose. What is your purpose? It could be you want to be you like working with your hands, you want mechanic or carpentry, or it could be you want to go into, law and medicine and so forth. But you're not going to be happy if you really don't match your purpose to your career or major. So I think that's really, really important. So we take the construct of like a TED Talk, for example. Our TED Talks are truncated. They're not 15 minutes. They're more like 3 to 5 minutes, but they're in English classes. We're a 7 through 12 district. So we have science teachers, history teachers who do this as well. But we have truncated TED Talks in our English classes. And kids talk about their own lives, their own identity, who they are, what their story is. And that's huge. People talk about belonging. It starts with that piece. Who am I? How do I fit in? Every adolescent is asking that question. And so we give them a space to do that. And as they identify what they care about in life, and then the teachers are able to curate that into potentially a major or a career in a call to action. That call to action, they might be forming a club. It could be, their aunt has diabetes, so they're concerned about health. Uh, or it could be stuff with the environment, with these fires and everything, and connecting that to the environment. So we allow them those spaces to make the connections. And the teachers are trained in not imposing their own views. I think that's really important. That's vital, actually, and that's why I think we have such a vibrant civic engagement program. And in California, and that California supports things like voter registration within schools. So we register kids to vote. We don't tell them how to vote, but we register them, and so they're ready to be um, good citizens. I think again that's what every American wants. They want good neighbors, good, you know, uh, citizens, people that just behave out in the public and they're respectful of each other and respectful of the our laws and so forth. But our kids they learn to disagree without hatred, and I think that's really the main thing, that the main lesson
Mhm.
that's coming out of our district is it's okay to disagree, but not to hate.
Mhm. How do we help in terms of bridging equity and what some people would call opportunity gaps? I mean, there are those families where kids have the latest, shiniest new iPhone, and others where,
Yeah.
they're embarrassed to take it out of their whatever they're carrying out of their pocket, um, and it's a challenge, particularly, just for a certain age group, where you can be teased or hazed or whatever for.
Yes, I think this is a festering problem in society, the technology divide, but I know it's the AI divide because AI access to these amazing tools is not cheap, and it takes a lot. You look at NVIDIA and the supercomputer power and the energy it takes. So there is a cost to that, and most districts are going to be faced with an unfunded mandate. Wealthier districts or private schools, certainly wealthier districts, have rich foundations that parents pay into that foundation, and they can subsidize access to AI. But low income districts are going to have a big problem going forward in terms of ensuring that kids have access to these amazing tools.
Let's step away from our conversation for a moment for me to tell you about the Journalistic Learning Initiative's innovative educational tools and services. Of special note is JLI's Comfort Corner initiative, a video library featuring near-peer role models sharing about their mental health journeys. This innovative resource destigmatizes mental health challenges, provides a gateway to seeking professional help, and supports your students in realizing they're not alone. If you're looking to make the best decision for your teaching staff and students about AI adoption, improving student engagement, strengthening writing skills, promoting social media mindfulness, or enhancing college and career readiness, please take a moment to visit our website at journalisticlearning.org. Our team of University of Oregon researchers offer customized AI tools, instructional materials, professional development, and consulting. Research confirms that students with journalistic learning experience outperform their peers on numerous key indicators for college and career readiness. At the heart of our work is empowering learners to become effective communicators. If you think about it, effective communication is critical in every human interaction, whether it's writing an essay for a grade or being interviewed to secure employment. Since 2015, JLI has benefited nearly 20,000 students and served schools in 15 states and the District of Columbia. I invite you to schedule an appointment to explore how JLI can improve your students' learning outcomes. Now back to our program. Almost every superintendent I speak with, and I've talked to nearly 40 since we started this back in July, the subject of mental health, teen mental health, is top of mind. And I'm just wondering what you're seeing in your district, certainly post COVID, but even still, just anxiety, depression.
Well, it's
What do you?
amplified now with the immigration issues as well, right? So, but I have a good friend, a professor at the University of Southern California, Mary Helen Imordino Yang, who speaks nationally to the issue. She's an expert on adolescent neuroscience and mental health, and she really, she talks about this, the development of adolescence and relationship to uh, pedagogy and the what's going on in the schools. And I think the emphasis on the standardized testing, I mean, she's very critical of standardized testing, has actually unintentionally amplified anxiety and mental health issues. And it also is creating uh, I think, a real existential, uh, critical juncture for schools in that students are not seeing the relevance in schools to their own lives. Because the more relevant that your day becomes to school, that does have a mitigating factor on mental health, right? Because if school is, quote, fun and interesting and things that you do somehow reflect you, your own personal narrative, um, and it has meaning to you in your life, it's going to impact in a healthy way your mental health and your attitude around hope and optimism about yourself, your future, your family, versus a world where you're being blamed for learning loss, and you're never going to catch up, and we have to double down in the two subjects that are tested and forget about everything else. Again, that's another gap between low income and higher income. Higher income families, they have money to subsidize for visual and performing arts or take you to Europe or whatever. Low income kids, they're getting double periods in math and reading, and because of this learning loss. And I think that's unintentionally exacerbating the mental health issue. Mary Helen, Dr. Imorduno Yang has spoken very eloquently of the disconnect between pedagogy and mental health.
Well, yeah, it's the double periods in math are kind of doubling down on in some cases, strategies that are already proving that they're not working. I mean, I'm going to gather that, like project based and more collaborative learning is something that you um, think is we all should be moving more towards, and that's harder for some traditionalists, who think that we should just be doubling down on high stakes testing and all that stuff. But I mean, I think there's significant research that shows that that's not what really resonates with young people. You know.
Yes, Ed, and we have four-year data. We do not teach the test in our district. People are kind of blown away. We teach the whole child.
Wow.
We have
Yeah.
all kinds of project-based cool stuff that's going on in our district. Teachers,
Yeah.
our late starts are devoted to that. And guess what? On the back end, at the University of California, our low-income uh, Latino kids, mostly Latino, are outperforming the rich kids and GPAs and persistence rates. So we have four-year
Yeah.
data from the University of California, and we have a big grant from Chan Zuckerberg initiative, and we are studying that. Right?
That's
What is
wonderful.
it that we're doing that other districts are not? And the thought is that we're focused on the whole child through what we call the 5 Cs. So we're developing a tool that potentially can be used by the University of California to predict student performance, not just in the university, but beyond and careers as well. So we're really excited about that because that's could be a big breakthrough in terms of do we use standardized tests for entrance into universities or not? Is there something else beyond the standardized test? And I
Mhm.
think we're on the verge of capturing that. So we're really excited about it.
One last question that sort of pertains to this. I think that, and I kind of compare. I think that public education maybe has a PR problem, and I think journalism also has the same PR
Uh,
problem, which is that the public doesn't necessarily understand or appreciate the fact that people who decide to become teachers are not driven by just income or whatever. It's a real sense of public service, and I'm wondering, what as those of us who are like yourself committed to public education, how can we better tell our story? I mean, what you just shared a moment ago is pretty compelling, but I don't know how we do a better job of sort of getting the message out there so that people understand, just the positive impact of public education.
I think that's a great question. I think most districts do not do a very good job of that, of capturing what is working and amplifying that in the community. I think one area, at least in California, is the community school movement. I know that's nationwide, but the community school movement is about recentering neighborhood schools as the nexus of communities, right? With community-based organizations right there, the sort of the religious institutions. I mean, it used to be the churches were the place, right? Churches and
Right.
schools, but
Right.
we've, I think through the community school movement, which is schools intentionally working with community organizations, including the religious organizations, to recenter the schools as a public good. And I think there's a lot of hope with that and to get those stories, those messages out to the local communities um, about what the kids are doing, the amazing problem solving that's going on. And that begins with teachers, right? The teachers need to be unyoked from, I think, standardized testing so we can really capture that intellectual, innovative capacity of 2.5 million teachers across the United States, right? In order to unyoke
Yeah.
the capacity of innovation with, 55 million kids in K-12 systems.
Yeah.
If So I'm seeing a movement. I am seeing some momentum behind that, and that's really exciting. We have about 200 people that visit our district every 2 months, and there's a lot of energy out there. They do want to move in a direction uh, that can reposition America as a front runner in terms of everything that we stand for.
That's great, Mike. Thank you so much. Let me know, or let our audience know rather, where they can find your school district on the internet or reach you through LinkedIn
Well,
or
you can always
they want
reach
to know more.
out and connect with me through LinkedIn, but certainly AUHSD. .us. There's all kinds of information on us. A lot of people are interested in our AIM program, Anaheim
Hmm.
Innovative Mentoring Experience. So if you type in AUHSD and AIME, you're going to get
Hmm.
all kinds of videos and cool stuff in terms of the mentoring and our career pathways too. It leads right to the career pathways.
Terrific. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ed.
The Ed Leader's Edge podcast is produced by the Journalistic Learning Initiative. Please check out our latest books, Language Arts in Action from W. Norton Publishing, and Raising Empowered Learners from Rauman and Littlefield. For more information about our work, please visit journalisticlearning.org or edleaderedge.org. Thanks for listening.